Would you raise your right hand to be sworn, please?
You solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony that you will give will be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God. Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to have a seat, sit up close to the microphone, adjust it so you can speak into it, and then I want you to state your name and then spell your name for the court reporter.
My name is Mallory Rosepowler, Mallory Rosepiler.
Counsel?
Ms. Rosepowler, I think we've known you as Mallory Burnson, correct?
Yes.
I think when you were spoken to a few months ago, that's what your last name was?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Rosepowler, how long have you lived in Baker County?
21 years all my life.
All your life? And do you know a Rhonda Jewell?
Yes.
Do you see her in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you describe what she's wearing for me?
She's wearing a tan coat and a white shirt.
Ask the court to verify that she's identified Ms. Jewell.
The record will reflect that she has identified the defendant.
You've known her all your life,
Yes.
okay? And in what capacity have you known her?
What?
How have you known her?
She's a close family friend.
Have you ever, at any point in time, asked Mrs. Rhonda Jewell to care or babysit or watch your children?
Yes.
Okay, and how many children do you have?
1.
Okay, how old is your child?
She's 4.
Is that a boy or a girl?
Girl.
When did you ask Mrs. Rhonda Jewell to watch or sit for your child?
When my daughter was 1.
And how old? In what year would that have been?
2021.
And how long did Rhonda Jewell watch your child?
A couple months.
Was that on a daily basis or
It was 3 days a week, I want to say. It wasn't every day.
3 days?
Yes.
At the time you were in high school, I believe, still?
Yes.
And how long during the day did Miss Rhonda Jewell watch your daughter?
She watched her from about 8 to 8:30 to 1 to 1:30 in the afternoon.
And was that at her home or your home?
It was at Mike and Kaylee Rogers' home.
Are they friends of yours?
Yes.
Would Rhonda Jewell come pick up your daughter, or would you deliver her to my?
She would pick her up from my house.
And then would she return the child to you, or would you pick the child up?
It just depended on the day. One day she would bring her back to my house, or me and my mom would pick her up from Rhonda.
Did you ever have occasion to see Rhonda Jewell interacting with your child?
Yes.
And would you describe Miss Jewell as playing with your child?
Yes.
Was she caring for your child?
Yes.
Yeah. Did she seem engaged with your daughter?
Yes.
Did she ever spend an unusual amount of time on her cell phone?
No.
Was she spending her time with your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. Ever had any concerns for the safety or welfare of your child?
No.
And I assume that you stopped using Rhonda Jewell because your child, were able to care for the child yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Just one moment. I have no other questions.
Any cross-examination?
Very brief, Your Honor. Ma'am, you're not a witness to this case. You weren't there the day that this occurred on Estate Street?
No.
Do you know Brooke Page or Justice Page?
I know them through Rhonda.
Through Rhonda, okay. But you didn't witness any of these events?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any redirect of this witness?
No, sir.
Can she be excused at this point?
Not at this point, Judge. No, she'd be held at this point. That's to be held at this point.
I'm sorry, what?
Have her stay under subpoena, Judge.
Okay, I'm sorry. She's excused, subject to recall?
Yes, sir.
Okay, gotcha. If you'll step out, please, ma'am.
Testimony that you will give will be the truth and the whole truth, so help you God.
Have a seat, please, and sit up close to the microphone, and you may need to pull it down so you can speak into it fairly closely. I'm going to ask you at this time if you'll state your name and then spell your name for us.
Yes, sir. Kaylee Rogers, Kaley Rogers.
Thank you, ma'am. Counsel?
Ms. Rogers, how long have you lived in Baker County?
Roughly 10 years.
And you're married to Mike Rogers, is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Rhonda Jewell?
Yes, sir.
And how do you know her?
Rhonda Jewell was the caregiver of my 2 daughters.
Is that how you first met her?
Yes, sir.
And approximately when was that?
2016.
How was she introduced to you?
My husband went into her sister's salon one day. We were looking for someone to watch our daughter when I went back to work, and he went in just to speak and say hello, and he mentioned it while he was in there, and she said she was interested, and so we set up a time, and a couple days later she came over to our house, and I was able to meet her, and she was able to meet the baby, but that's how I met her.
Did your husband know Mrs. Jewell before that?
He did.
How did he know her, if you know?
He worked with her years ago at Winn-Dixie, I believe, and then knew of her throughout the community.
Do you remember when it was that you first spoke to Rhonda Jewell, approximately, regarding caring for your child?
November of 2016.
Had you just had your child?
I was at the end of my maternity leave, so she was about 3 months old.
Was this your first child?
Yes, sir.
And you needed someone to watch your daughter because you were going back to work?
Yes, sir.
So did you meet with Rhonda Jewell a few times before she started caring for your daughter?
She came to the house one day and spent an hour and a half with us, spent time with the baby. I got to know her, got to know me a little bit. And then the next time I saw her in person was the first time that she took care of our oldest.
When you saw your Rhonda Jewell interacting with your daughter, the first occasion, was she engaged with your daughter?
Very much so.
Do you remember approximately when she actually started watching the child? Was that November 2016?
Yes, sir. It was the end of November.
And where would Rhonda Jewell watch her child at?
She came to our house every morning.
And that's here in Baker County.
Yes, sir.
How many days a week?
5 days a week.
And how many hours a day?
Roughly the entire time I was at work, so 8 till 4.
And how long did that last? What length of time as far as months or years?
She kept our oldest. It was from 2016 to 2021 that she had our girls on a regular daily basis.
Now, you've mentioned girls. Was there a second child that you had that she also cared for?
Yes, sir.
And when was that child born?
February 2018.
And when did Rhonda Jewell start watching that child?
I believe it was April of 2018.
And I think you indicated up until 2021, was that the oldest child or the youngest child?
The youngest.
The youngest. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Again, was this always generally at your home?
Yes, sir. She would come to our home in the morning, and then if she had things she needed to do that day, or if there was something that we needed help with, she would take them from the home and run errands or whatever she needed to do, and then come back.
Did you have occasions during this period of time from November 2016 to 2021 to observe Rhonda Jewell interacting with your one or both your daughters?
Yes, sir.
And how would you describe that interaction?
Very natural, very motherly.
Was she engaged with them?
Yes, sir.
Did she ever spend any time on her cell phone?
Every now and then I would see her on her phone, but it was a phone call or she was showing me something or showing the girls something or
Did you ever have any concerns about your children in the care of Rhonda Jewell?
never.
Is it also correct to say that you invited Miss Jewell on some vacations to help watch the children?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How often was that?
Every summer. I believe it started in 2019. And then every summer after.
Do you know Brooke and Justice Page?
Yes, sir.
And how do you know them?
I know them through Rhonda.
Do you know Brooke and Justice Page's parents?
Yes.
Ms. Rogers, after July 19, 2023, did Rhonda Jewell ever talk to you about what happened on July 19, 2023?
We've talked about the emotional part of it.
Did she tell you about what happened that day?
Yes, I've heard her walk herself through what happened that day.
What did she tell you?
That she picked up the
Objection,
child.
Your Honor.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Just wait a minute.
Judge, this is proper. Can I have the witness answer the question?
Yeah, go ahead and have her answer.
That she picked up the child, went to the other family's home to care for their children. She was going to stop and get something to eat on her way, but she was worried about being late, so she ended up not stopping. She got to the house, got out of her vehicle, went inside, and carried on about her day.
Did she indicate to you, in talking to you, when she knew that she had left, forgotten Ariya in the vehicle?
When Brooke got there.
Just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
One last thing, Mrs. Rogers. Was there any period of time where Rhonda Jewell had your children for an extended period of time?
Yes, sir.
And when was that?
May of 2022.
And how long did she care for your children continuously during that period of time?
3 weeks.
Were they always with her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Day and night?
Yes, sir. My husband had a cardiac arrest and was in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Any concerns about the care your daughters received at that point in time?
Absolutely not. I know that they were well taken care of, and yes, I'm very thankful for her.
I have no other questions, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Rogers, you were not at the house on the State Street the day that this occurred on July 19th.
No, sir.
So you did not see on that day when the defendant was supposed to be caring for Ariya Page.
No, sir.
Other than what the defendant has told you, you really know nothing about the case.
No, sir.
Okay. When you say no, you mean, is that a yes, you know nothing about the case?
Right. Yes, just what I've heard.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions of this witness?
No, sir.
Okay. Same excusal? Okay, you are excused but subject to recall, so if you'll step outside, please, ma'am. Thank you. Have a seat, please, ma'am. I'll ask you to sit up close to that microphone and adjust it down if you need to so that you can speak right into it. I'll ask you, first of all, if you will state your name and then spell your name.
Ashley Altman, Ashley Altman.
Thank you, ma'am. Counsel?
Ms. Altman, how long have you lived in Baker County? Excuse me.
I have lived in Baker for 22 years.
Do you know Rhonda Jewell?
Yes.
How did you first meet Mrs. Jewell?
I met her through my coworker She is her sister.
And her coworker, your coworker owned a salon, correct?
Yes.
And that was Rhonda Jewell's sister.
Yes.
How about how long ago was that?
That was 17 and a half years ago.
At that time, did you have any children?
Yes, I had 2 at that time.
At that point in time, did you ever ask Rhonda Jewell to care or babysit for your children, one or more of your kids?
Not at that time.
Okay. When did you ask her to do that?
I asked her when I had my daughter. She was 3 years old, so in 2013, somewhere around there.
So in 2013, you asked Mrs. Jewell to watch your youngest child, your daughter, correct?
Yes,
And did she do that?
she did.
And generally, how often did she watch your child and where?
She normally had her 2 days a week because I only worked 2 days at the time. A lot of times she would keep her at the shop where I was. She would kind of tend to her while I was working. And then there were times where she would take her for the day, run errands, take her to kids' practices, whatever she needed to do.
So on these 2 days a week, how many hours would Rhonda Jewell care for your daughter?
It was a full day, 9 to 5-ish, maybe sometimes later, sometimes it was around 8 hours or so.
Majority of the time, was she watching your daughter in the salon where you worked?
Most of the time she would be in the salon. There would be times where she would kind of go in and out, but most of the time she would be around.
So you had a chance to observe Rhonda Jewell caring for your daughter, correct?
Yes, sir.
And how would you describe that care?
Very attentive. She would always be one-on-one with her. Sometimes they would sit on the floor and play with toys, or she took care of her, treated her like her own.
Were there times that Ms. Jewell took your daughter out of the salon or kept her somewhere else?
She would normally not keep her anywhere else, but she would take her out and they would run errands or do whatever.
Did you ever have any concerns about the care your daughter was receiving from Rhonda Jewell?
No, sir.
You ever have any incidents where you were concerned that your child had been injured or harmed in any way?
No, sir.
She stopped watching your youngest daughter approximately when? Do you remember?
It was about 1.5 years. She watched her when she started school.
Since that time, has Rhonda Jewell watched or babysat any of your children?
There's been times where she's maybe taken her for the day, or there was a time where I was kind of in a bind and I needed her to pick her up from school and she picked her up for me, things like that.
Same questions earlier. Any concerns about any of that at all?
No, sir.
Always provided good care.
Always.
Are you aware of Rhonda Jewell's reputation in the community for providing quality child care?
Objection, Your Honor.
It's a proffer, Judge.
Basis?
And there's a lack of foundation. He's going into reputation evidence in the community.
Well, I think he can overruled at this point. Next question may turn things around, but.
Do you have any knowledge of Rhonda Jewell's reputation in the community for providing high-quality child care?
Yes.
And what is that?
She was always good. I would recommend her to anybody.
Okay, that's it. Okay, next question.
Judge, just a moment.
Yes.
I have no other questions.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Ma'am, it'd be fair to say you don't know anything about this case.
I have never talked to her about this case. No, sir.
And you don't know Brooke Page or Justice Page.
No, sir.
Okay. So you weren't there the day that this incident occurred? You weren't a witness to what occurred at that house? Nothing?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Any other questions of this witness?
No, sir.
Okay, ma'am, you can step down. You are excused but subject to recall. That means they may call you back again. So.